Let's go! Guys, welcome back. This is Michael Hoskinson. I am the owner-founder of Canine Controlled Dog Training Program. And you are listening to Canine Convos. Super excited that you guys are back. I think this is going to be episode 3 or 4 now that we're on with this series. We've gone through the website. We've kind of debunked some of the stuff they're talking about. And now we're moving forward, and we're going to have some experts come in. I am super jazzed today. I've told you guys on this podcast many times before, I will be accredited by someone that has actually been training dogs longer than me. So 35 years next year, and I finally today found someone that's trained dogs longer than I have. So I am super excited. We have Linda Konrad, and it's Good Canine, right? The name of your company. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We've talked one time, and then we finally met today for the first time, and I'm telling you, it's a pleasure. It really is. So just tell us a little bit about you and what you do and what Good Canine is.
Well, I've been training dogs for 50 years, and that all started when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And then on from there, I was just asked at age 17 to get paid to start doing it. And that was exciting because
at 17, right? I love doing it anyway, and you're going to give me money for it?
I was doing it all over the place all the time, and all of a sudden people wanted to pay me for it.
Awesome.
So I just had the ability to be able to engage with dogs and their owners.
Yes.
And then it just happened from there. So I've been I'm actually known as a Canine Behavioral Specialist.
Very cool, yes.
Not just a dog trainer.
Anybody can teach a dog to sit, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
And basically what I do is I set foundations on dogs. So foundation being more than obedience.
Yes.
I train anywhere from the PD dogs, detection dogs. I'm only one of 30 in the world that's nationally certified to train dogs to detect early stage cancer.
Absolutely phenomenal.
And so we're kind of at a down right now since COVID, because all the money went towards all of that. But we still have all the equipment and.
Okay, so now I told you we weren't going to rabbit hole, right?
Yes.
So here we go. We didn't even get started. So because I'm trying to remember back, I think in the 90s they had a schnauzer that was sniffing melanoma cancer, skin cancer.
Correct.
All the way back in the 90s, before we had the imaging and stuff that could do it. And that dog had something like a 98.9% hit rate.
That's what we have.
Phenomenal.
Our dogs are 98 to 100% accuracy.
That is amazing. Okay, so way smarter than machines. And then they're doing colon cancer, prostate cancer.
We do 12 different cancers.
And then is it right? I've heard ovarian.
Yeah.
And they're catching it prior to stage 3 or 4,
yes,
right?
It's 0, 1, and 2, because at stage 3 is where you start doing biopsies.
Right.
And then we're known as cancer sniffing dogs. You can look us up anywhere. But the problem is when we find it, because we do it clinically.
Right.
We don't have a dog come up and sniff you.
Right.
That's usually Penn Vet or up in Canada, or we have HIPAA laws, so we have to do it clinically. But what happens is when the dog detects it at an early stage, we have no tests that are going to tell you where it is, what it is, that type of thing.
Got it.
So we have a lot of people that, for instance, firemen, that's kind of where we left off before COVID, was we were testing the firemen and we were finding that they're at a 65% chance of getting cancer. Most humans are right around a 22%.
Right.
So when we found it, or the dogs found it, we would notify them that we had detected it, but then there's no way to go test anywhere else. So every 6 months or so, if they could convince their physicians to get a radiation test or any type of test, then they were getting cancer from going in and getting all the tests. And then COVID hit. And so, but we were at a point at right before COVID, 2019, where a dog could tell you do or you don't have cancer.
It's amazing.
Very, very genetic. Okay?
Yeah, right.
Very general.
Right. It's cancer.
Then we could just train dogs 2 different types of cancers, and then they would alert on just those two. That's where we were.
Wow.
Where, there's
amazing
many different types of cancers.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry.
So,
that was fascinating.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep talking. You, Good Canine. What else do you do?
Since then, I do a lot of work with, I'm a decoy out at the airport
It's fun stuff,
for
the decoy
Homeland
work.
Security and TSA.
Nice.
It's kind of my fun job. It's my
Right.
volunteer type
Right.
job. So if they need me, if I need them type of thing. I also work for the schools. It's through kind of the government where I used to board a lot of their dogs, all the
Right.
state representative house, whatever. And they'd go to Austin and they'd stop by my house and drop their dogs off before they'd go into session. Well, it ended up that I started working with the schools where I would train the teachers' dogs and they would
Nice.
become comfort dogs.
Nice.
And those schools, I had 87 in the White Settlement School District. I just am now halfway through their training this year. And then now we have other ones. We have McKinney that's looking to jump on board.
I don't know what the holdup is.
Allen,
I've tried to break into that a couple years ago. We were looking to do some stuff in Everman, Cedar Hill.
But
There's
is it training their dogs or is it bringing dogs
It's
in?
actually bringing a dog in,
Okay.
it being working for the school.
And that's where it doesn't work.
It falls apart. Yeah,
It doesn't work.
Well, I finally got some PDs on board that they actually have first responder dogs. I've done one for Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie just put on two. One for first responders for their guys and firemen, and then another one for victims. So
Right.
when they come and make statements, and
Right.
mom's been beat up
Yep.
by a boyfriend or
Yep.
whatever, and
We call
the
those
kid's there.
facility dogs.
Yeah, I've done
They work in
those.
the
Yep.
courtroom. I have ones that work in the
Yes.
dentist office at
See, that's a good one.
ERs.
Guess where I put one on? I'm in the middle of right now.
Oh, nice.
And you're going to go, that, of course, why don't all of them have it?
Yeah.
Funeral home.
Oh, very good.
I'm doing one right now
Very
for that.
Good.
Yeah, right.
But the comfort dogs in the schools actually have curriculum that they have to follow in the classrooms. They do special things. So
nice.
it's not just for special ed, but we do work with especially the high end for any type of autism.
Okay, yeah, yep.
And now we're getting together a 501 that will actually, after the high spectrum autism kids leave the school, graduate, they can actually come back and work on a dog project back
so
in
cool.
the schools.
So cool. Give them back.
And so, yeah.
Teach them a
so
skill.
we're
That's so
trying
good.
to get that going. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a little something on the side. Huh? What else do you do?
And then I just go to people's homes and I train, and I, train in groups. Sometimes I have group classes, and then I also work with.
Well, that's the one thing I can say. That's one place.
Shelters.
That might be the only place I can beat you. My group class is bigger than your group class.
Yeah, sure.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah. I don't do a lot of group classes.
I had 48 at my last one.
Yeah, I don't do a lot. I do in-home.
That's what I specialize in too.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you do in-home? What do you find important about that as opposed to?
Because over 80 to 90% of the training is the humans, and you've got to hit them.
And you spend 80 to 90% of your time with your dog in your home?
You've got to hit them where it counts. You've got to show them in specifics on what room or what this or what they're doing, because they don't see it. They don't even hear themselves when they're giving commands or, in the special tone that they're to do it in. They don't hear it, but,
Do you think people have a chance to fix outside problems like dog reactivity on walks and stuff like that if they don't have control of their dog inside the home?
No.
I agree. 1,000%.
No.
That's why I like you. It's got to start somewhere, right?
Well, if you don't have control in your home, you won't have control.
Why would the dog trust you outside?
That's exactly
where
what
everything's
I say
going
to my
on.
teachers. I'm teaching in a classroom basis in the gymnasium with up to 25 dogs.
Yeah.
They still have to take all of that home, and I'm very militant. I'm very strict with what I do, and I yell at them and go, I don't want to see you perfect healing your dog or sits or downs or stays or whatever, and then you be willy-nilly walking out the front door.
Thank you.
That just chokes me. And so I go chasing them down.
How did I know? I told you and I were going to get along
Put your stuff
so
down
good.
And then walk your dog to the car the correct way.
So
my
group classes, right? I see them coming in to set up and they're not walking right. I'm over on their butts right now. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
You have to.
Or if I break them, it's summertime, right? I do a 2-hour class. I would break them halfway through. Everybody go get water for the dogs. And they walk off being stupid. I'm like, hey, what are you doing?
Well, it's like a boot camp, and people don't realize that being militant and knowing and repeating things like that, that's the only way humans are going to learn. Dogs learn within
very
seconds
fast
because they only have a 4-second attention span
very
and they
fast.
live in the moment. So they're like, what do you want me to do? And they're our companions. They're there to listen to
less
us.
than an hour ago, this is the exact same I said to the lady. I said, if I can get a dog to repeat a behavior 3 times in a row, I said, the dog's already got it.
Right.
I said, now
That's
my problem
the
is
foundation.
getting you to do it for the next 21 days so it's normal for you.
Correct.
And she's like, yeah, I can see where that's a problem, Michael. I'm like, always. My dogs are easy. You know what? I hope we end up having a great relationship moving forward and maybe even collab on some stuff and do some fun stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's nice, just like-minded, and we're actually like personality, I think, because I just really don't give a shit what people think. I know what I know. I'm not trying to be cocky about it, but I know it to be true.
That's it.
And
if you're the
deny
expert in it, the problem is that, especially during COVID, everyone became a dog trainer.
It was like a crazy time.
I mean, my trainers that fly in or that I've trained here that train along, they don't train under me. They're on their own.
Right.
But they're like freaking out because they don't have any business. And I'm like, just hang in there. All of these people will start falling off, unfortunately, because they take advantage and they cut their costs and they do this and they do that and they're jumping all over the place. People are going to see that. They're going to, witness
How
that.
many have you seen come and go?
Unfortunately, unfortunately, the human that is, paying for it gets taken advantage of.
Yep.
But, I mean...
Yeah, and that's what's funny is that's why I catch a lot of guff on social media and stuff like that. And I'm like, look, you got to understand, I've been doing this since 2005 on the civilian side. If I wasn't doing it right and it wasn't working, and if I was cruel and mean to dogs, nobody would refer me. I wouldn't have a job. Do you know how many? You see it too. They come, and I just found out there's a dog trainer that lives in my neighborhood now. I just found that out earlier this week because I picked up a client, and she goes, "Yeah, because we're gonna." She has PTSD. She's a vet, and she's like, "We're gonna go through the basic training, and then if she decides she wants to go further with some therapy work, we're gonna do that for some anxiety stuff." And she goes, yeah, there was another lady in the neighborhood walking her dog, and she told me that she did service dogs. She said, but she couldn't even walk her own dog. I was like, so a little bit of a red flag? And she goes, oh, yeah, I wouldn't even consider having her train my dog just for obedience.
And
They're
I
everywhere.
have a guy right now. I mean, I've been doing service dogs for 25 years, and I've worked for Canine Companions for Independence. I've worked, one of my best friends is Canine for Warriors. And they're down in Florida, and he's not even there anymore. But all of these different companies or organizations that I've worked with, they did not handle, because this was like, 25 years ago.
Right.
They didn't handle PTSD.
No.
And that was a secondary. And it was when I would get calls in, I'd sit in my driveway for 2.5 hours talking to people on the phone that had PTSD that could not get a service dog because it was a secondary disability and they didn't have a first. Okay, they weren't without a limb or in a wheelchair or whatever.
Because it's the hidden, and they don't see it, so they don't feel like it's
I ended up leaving in 2016 and starting my own.
It's amazing.
Good Canine Academy, and that's where I went in and trained dogs. And I've had people fly in, and I have tiny homes down where I'm at. I'm building all the tiny homes where people can come in, be matched with their dogs, and stay for a trauma resilience program for 7 to 14 days.
Nice.
And I went and I got certified. I don't know if you're aware of this abled veteran. It's up in Illinois. Bahesha Doan is the owner up there, and she's been doing, thousands and thousands of dogs every year for PTSD. So I got certified through them, went up there and did that course. And I've been doing it forever since then. But I just had a guy the other day that had contacted me because he met and this is usually how it goes. Whenever one of my guys goes and checks in with the VA or something, all of a sudden my phone rings off the hook because everyone sees their dog.
Right.
And I'm one that I don't raise puppies. And that's my own. I used to.
It's a lot
I
of
do
work.
not raise puppies anymore because, like I said, working with another organization that does, they don't care up to 18 months old.
Right.
They don't care what you do with that puppy.
Right.
You're just kind of I feel like puppy raisers are pawns.
Right.
Where they're just used to feed and house these puppies growing up. And I can take a dog, go in. I've done it enough times where I can pretty much have a rescue come in or somebody else's dog or whatever. And after I get done with foundation, I know whether that dog is going to be a perfect match for
100%.
them.
100%.
And so that's kind of where I'm at now. But I get different organizations or different businesses. They know what I do. And so I come in and I educate them.
Nice.
And I explain to the managers, like HEB or something.
Right.
This is not a service dog.
Right.
And you don't have to allow this dog in there. And these are the things that you can do and say. And you can always ask them to leave.
Right.
But they'll video and they'll go, Linda, is this a service dog?
Right.
And I'll go, no, do you need me to come down there right now and help you remove them or whatever? Because I've gone to court and basically either, it's both sides sometimes.
Debunked it or said, yes, it is. Yeah, right.
Sometimes I'm there for the person.
Right.
And sometimes I'm there for the complex.
Yep.
But,
That's the only reason I started doing it a couple years ago is because the backlog and the price.
Yes.
These guys can't afford that. They're trying to keep themselves together.
But to break that down,
I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But
from a brand new puppy,
yes, ma'am,
up to 2 years of age, because 24 months is where they legally can be a service dog. That is $34.10 a day.
There you go.
That it costs. And that goes up to $25,000.
It's there. I get it.
But if you're not raising that puppy, and so if I get a dog at 18 months old,
right,
it's a fraction of that. And then if it's PTSD, everybody is different in what they need.
Yes.
So it's you do the foundation and then you start adding. I like that. Conversations. I go in and I have meetings with their therapists because sometimes they don't know what their true triggers are.
They don't know what they need.
You do sometimes sleep patterns where they go in and do, all of those the studies. And you do all these different things with them to find out, and you build it. It's not just, I'm going to train this dog, and now it's a service dog.
Yeah,
it can sometimes run 6 months to a year or longer.
Unfortunately, people think that. I used to get that all the time. Hey, I just rescued this dog, and I want it to be my service dog or my therapy dog. I'm like, unfortunately, it doesn't.
Because those aren't the triggers. Like, I used to do diabetic. I used to do seizure alert, all of that. And I went, no more. Because what happens is that it's just like the dogs for the blind. If one of those dogs was to walk you out in traffic and
culpability,
and so that's what people do. They come back to the trainers to see that.
They started.
Even though I have a great insurance policy.
That's why I stopped with attack on command training, because they were starting to bring the trainers back into it. And I was like, whoa, okay, I'm out if that's going to start happening. Yeah.
So that's where just knowing, getting to know the people, and then realizing. My one I'm working with now, he thought that he had to go get a puppy because this is what he was told.
He Googled it.
Go get a puppy, and in 6 months we'll finish training you for, with the dog. And I'm like, and he goes, let me ask you. He says, I have a 4-year-old golden retriever at home right now. And I go, okay. And he goes, is he too old? I said, no. Absolutely not. And for what your needs are, no. And I said, you have to realize, especially with PTSD, you should really only have one dog.
All right.
Yes.
Let's do. We're going to talk about separation anxiety at some point today.
We were.
Yeah, right.
That's why I said.
Oh, look, we're almost halfway through, and we haven't even started yet.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so this is interesting. So what I did is I posted on my drink, eat,
you're fine.
be merry.
No, you're fine.
I asked for and I had a FF trainer that was going to come on here until she watched she watched the first session of separation anxiety, and all she did was text me back and said, "You're just shitting on science." So I'm not going to be on there. Science. So this is an important. This is what you wrote back to me when I asked for trainers talking about separation anxiety.
Yep.
There's actually no such thing in dogs. It's a human emotion that a dog cannot manifest. We have made it part of marketing. This is a learned behavior that can be fixed quickly in dogs once the human learns how to change their behavior towards the dog. So once you stop, it will stop in the dog. I teach you this. Now, there is nothing more true than everything that you said right there. One of the things that I go after these companies for is I truly believe this is a huge money grab.
Oh, it's huge.
You have to have this, and this.
You've got books written, you've got movies, you've got drugs, you've got
all of that.
Stuff
and I think and your FF trainers are the first ones that are going to put these dogs on anxiety medication.
Yep.
And it's ridiculous.
And look, I just got goosebumps.
Ridiculous.
I hate it.
Me too. All right, let's go to the next slide, please, sir. Now watch. Now this is one of my clients who rescues dogs. Okay, she uses my system on these dogs, and she rehomes about 18, 20 of them a year. Okay. Perfectly trained, ready to go. Okay. She saw the same comment, and this is what she wrote with her little bit of knowledge that she has. So I have rescued, fostered, and trained 40-plus German Shepherds. Owner, surrender, and shelter strays. None of them have separation anxiety. None require drugs. They do need structure, discipline, and training. They do need to be part of a pack. I fear the experts are creating the Gen Z version of dogs. Mm-hmm. How close is she on 100% right on that?
Well, and again, I deal with all of the rescues, and I tell them flat out, I said, now don't get your butt hurt, okay? But we need you because you have huge hearts.
Yes.
This is lacking, and it's not the human side of the education or the brain. It's understanding how a dog actually sees the world, sees what goes on. We're putting too much human emotion into dogs. Well,
I thought you said you haven't seen it in my podcast. You know how many times I say that?
Really?
Quit humanizing a dog.
We don't, just like everyone talks about all the shelter. I have 7 or 8 shelters that I work with, and the cities contract me to come in and train their volunteers and train their fosters and train everybody, the humans. Because if it's just a dog, it's 1 year, 1 there, and you're not fixing anything. Right. So they're with them all day long. They need to work with them. Even if it's just basic stuff.
Yes.
Then I handle all the rest of it.
Sure.
Okay. However, I tell them, you have big hearts, but you have no brains, because we need you to be the human, but not
emotionalize the dog.
Throw up all over the dog with all these emotions.
Yes.
Even to a point where when they're videoing, if it's a live video, I hop on and I go, get your hands off that dog. That dog is stuck in the corner, down on the ground. What you're doing right now is you are giving them all the praise in the world for acting the way that they are, because they don't know, and they do something, and now you're going to react with a baby voice.
Yep.
Oh, it's okay. And I said, no, stand up, get that dog. I literally had a dog. We videoed it all the way through. This dog, they couldn't get that dog up for 2 weeks off the ground. And it was just a puppy, like 6 months old. And I said, what do you do? And they said, well, we pick her up and we take her out to potty. And I go, you're just instilling all of this. Yes. And I said, bring that dog to class. Because I would hold a class every week for the rescues. And I said, bring that, because they were going to euthanize her.
Yeah.
They didn't know
what
to do with her.
It's like something's wrong with her.
And I said, no, bring that dog to class. We have it where she's being picked up out. I put the leash and collar on her, bring her into this big old room that we have, and I started teaching her how to just come to me, okay, and get her into, and I'm really big on the front brain, hind brain, which a lot of people have never heard of. And so get her into front brain, and all she's doing is paying attention to me.
Oh, little focus.
And I'm not doing anything except for getting her attention and having her come with me. And yes.
No, I'm just holding this up because I'm predicting you did all that in about 5 minutes.
Oh, less.
Yeah, I was going to say 3.
It's like literally 30 seconds.
It happens.
I'm known
like
to train a dog to walk on a loose leash in 30 seconds.
Let's go.
I mean, I used to, going back a little, I used to embarrass my kids are in their 30s now, but I used to embarrass them because I'd be driving along and I'd see somebody being drugged by a dog and I would pull over.
I love it.
And I would fix it. And I just did it a couple weeks ago again when I was training some couple actually in Waxahachie, and their neighbors came out with a 90-pound golden retriever on a harness,
of course,
and being drugged
down the street.
And I'm like, and they go, bring that dog over here. I said, yeah, bring the dog here. I said, do you want me to fix that? And she just kind of stunned and looked at me, and I did it right there and there in front of everybody. And she walked the rest of the way on a heel. But it's just knowing what you know and being able to, if you listen to me and you're coachable, you can do it.
You've got to be teachable.
It's a lot of people aren't, and that's why I always say,
or they've been so misled by everything they Google, and their friend told them this, and it's evil, and then all of a sudden you're like, come on, people.
Yeah.
Do you want to excel, or as I tell my clients, don't be average.
Dogs can be trained. There isn't a dog out there that I've never been able to train. 97% on the human.
Yeah.
Because 3% are not.
Now,
coachable.
let me ask you this, and on that line of thinking, are there some dogs that are way more work though? Almost to the point where it's going to take the fun out of having it as a pet?
Depending on what that family is.
Now, I can agree with that. That's a good way to come back at me.
Because I have Belgian Malinois and Dutch Shepherds and German Shepherds, okay?
Right.
I grew up with Aussies. I had Aussies for 45 years.
Yeah, those dogs are not for like average.
But people go, oh, they're hyper. No, it's just not a trained dog, not a trained human. Dogs aren't hyper, or even with the Malinois. People think you've got to constantly throw a ball, keep them engaged. No, that you need to teach them to stop.
Yeah, that's the big thing that
Just
nobody teaches dogs anymore, that it's okay to do nothing.
Yes.
But they don't. They think, oh, he's got to go. Oh, he's a very high energy dog.
It's our children. Look at what we do with our children. Like I said, I work in the schools.
Right, 100%.
And I see it where or even families that I go to, I go in and go, well, I'm going to be honest with you. You can't handle these 3 children that are standing and jumping on furniture and taking their diapers off and throwing it at us. How are you going to train this dog? You're not. But that is so many things that I train on the dog side, I will tell them. And in the school, this is why I have such a following in the schools, is because the teachers take what I teach them into their classrooms. Yeah. I said, do you want to be the teacher or do you want to be the substitute?
Right. Yeah. Right.
And I said, this is how you will be perceived. You've got to be the teacher.
I tell people all the time, dogs are not hyper. They're out of control. They haven't been taught. Right. I said, what your dog has been doing, you ever seen the kid in the grocery store pulling stuff off the shelves, throwing it in there, throwing a big tantrum? Mm-hmm. I said, send that kid to the store with me and let's see how that goes, because I bet it looks different.
Yeah.
I said, your dog's just taking full advantage of you.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
Because what is our world like now? Yeah. And this is where I tell the shelters, we do not have an overpopulation of dogs because of breeding. We have an overpopulation of dogs because we live in a very passive world.
There it is.
It's pansy ass.
Yes.
That nobody knows how to say no. We can't handle
There's training people that tell you not to tell your dog no.
I know.
Do not tell that dog no.
Yeah.
There's one. Where's that guy from? I don't know. Scotland. He's from Scotland.
Oh, okay.
He is the absolute. Don't tell the dog. Remember, we're asking him to sit. We're just asking him.
You never want to ask them.
Don't tell them. Yeah. One of you's in charge.
Yeah.
Don't let it be the dog.
Exactly.
Oh.
So,
God.
but I tell people all the time when I go in their homes, I said, I'm not disrespecting you. I'm not, but I'm here to fix things. I don't sugarcoat anything.
Yes.
And I'm going to be very honest with you. I said, your dog, because they, well, what type of a guarantee do you have?
Always
and I
right.
said, I can guarantee that if you follow exactly step by step, which I give you on what to do with your dog. And if you're not sure, you call me, text me. It's lifetime that you can get a hold of me. And I said, but if you follow every single thing, it will work 100%.
Because I'm about to do it right in front of you.
And then they do it,
and then they're
works.
like, oh.
Yeah.
That's what I tell them all. I was like, I have a guarantee that if I can't stop the nudging, the bumping, the pushing, the pawing, the jumping, the barking, the rushing the front door, set a 5 to 10 foot boundary, get them off the couch, stop them from counter surfing. If I can't do all that on the first lesson, don't even pay me.
Exactly.
And they're like, you're going to get all that done in 2 hours? I was like, well, I'll actually get all that done in about 6 minutes.
Yeah.
They're like,
they don't get it.
No,
because
they
once
don't.
you change a dog's perspective or what their foundation,
yes.
They don't go back. It's us that go back to old habits.
And they're surprised when the dog does?
Yeah. Or they get me on the phone and the dog hears my voice.
And they snap too, right?
And they go, oh, hello.
So, Mr. Producer, am I lying? Do I not talk about that? I have a lady that's a truck driver. And that's what she would do. The dog would like start giving her guff and run around barking at her and stuff. So she would call me and she was like, hey, can you just leave me a message and like say no on there real firm like you do? And that's what and it got to the point, I'm going to call Mike. You want me to call Coach Mike? And she'd play that and I'd be like, no. And the dog would run and jump and get in the sleeper and wouldn't come out for 3 hours. Yeah. So she just got to the point where then it was like association, right? Do I need to call Mike? Whoop, right back to the thing. I was like, but you could fix that so you don't have to have me do it. But it's just so funny.
And that's just like crating or telling a dog. I teach a dog to kennel, and it's kennel. And I have friends of mine or clients or whatever call me and they'll go, I mean, this has been 2-3 years. And they'll say, Linda, my dog won't go in the crate anymore. And I go, what? I said, that's ridiculous. I said, well, what are you saying? Go to your bed. And I go, no. I've taught you. I've done this long enough. I've used every word. Tell him kennel. And she heard me over the phone
and ran and got in the kennel.
kennel.
How many times have you ever gone back to someone's house? You walk in, all of a sudden the dog smells you and looks at you and goes, oh, man. It just goes into like,
I haven't
they're
even
perfect,
got the
right?
minute I pull up.
They know the car. They're like, oh,
they call
shit.
me Commander Conrad. And the minute I pull up, she's at the door in a sit.
Totally different dog, huh?
And school kids can come home, grandkids can come in. She doesn't move until I release her. It's hilarious.
But it's so funny. That's why I tell them, they will never forget me.
Yeah.
They will never, ever forget me. I can come back 7
don't.
years later and tell them no one time, and they're like, and
they love you.
When they see it, it almost freaks them out, right? Because I did that last night with the German Shepherd, and the German Shepherd, by the end of the lesson, was laying by me. Wasn't even with the family. It's like, this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting so off topic.
All right. Separation anxiety.
So, is that what we're talking about? Separation anxiety. Okay. Do you see any commonality with dogs that people say that have separation anxiety? Is there a personality type or something that you see that tends to be more apt to display those behaviors?
You're talking about dog or human?
Dog. Yeah. Let's start with the dog before we pick on the humans.
I have to say that to me it's across the board. Okay. It really depends on it's us as humans. We portray how we want our dogs to be. And like I said, we live in a very passive world. So if all you're doing is, good example, is you create habits as humans.
Right.
Okay? We have habits, patterns. We do things. So if I get someone that says, oh, my dog whines or cries or whatever in the crate or sits at the door all day long, well, change your pattern. Crate your dog on and off all different times of the day for all different lengths of time. And like my dogs know when I put on this shirt and I spray my perfume, mom's leaving.
So trigger, like I know what comes next.
But there's some things that we can't change.
Right.
Okay? Like when you get up, why do you think we had such a terrible time for COVID? We were always home and our dogs are like, what the hell?
Of course, right? I trained my whole training program based on COVID. Yeah.
And then what happens is then all of a sudden we start leaving and they're like, why are you leaving?
Yep.
But if you don't, and there's all these memes out there about it, or you don't go, mommy will be home in a little bit.
You're basically saying, I'm glad you're worried about it.
All this up.
Yep.
I tell people that board with me, because I don't do board and trains, but if they board with me, I tell them, just go.
Yeah, just walk out.
It's like dropping your child off at child care. Or
the longer you stay there and prolong it, the worse it's going to be.
Let them go play. Let them go do whatever. Yep. That's how dogs are. Remember, they only have a 4-second attention span.
Right.
Break it up. do it different. Use a different door. Take your shoes out to the car prior to.
So let's talk about that, because this is one of the things that they talked about on the website is we should do like a minimum of like 30 minutes of vigorous exercise.
What?
To tire your dog, right?
No.
So a tired dog is a good dog bullshit. Yeah. Okay, I'm with you 100%, right? Okay, so I have to do everything out of the sight of my dog then. So we're supposed to kennel our dog or put it in the closet, in the laundry room or whatever, and provide it with stimulating toys to play as it calms.
That's marketing.
Right? Okay, but I'm supposed to listen. These are some of the things they said.
Yeah.
But besides, when they're going to train anxiety away from the dog.
No,
that's the stupidest shit ever, right?
No.
I'm going to train you not to be suicidal.
Right.
Okay, so, but they want us to not in front of our dog. We can't brush our teeth. We can't put get our backpack. We can't grab our keys. We can't get work clothes on. Their suggestions are for you to do stuff like don't pack your lunch. Do it the night before, because we don't have kids or family or anything to do. Get dressed at work. Park your car at your neighbor's house so they don't hear your car drive away.
Yeah, that's just.
Where's the realism in that in a day-to-day thing?
No, it doesn't.
Right?
Work that way.
It is the most ridiculous
thing. And I
go
in and literally fix it in one session.
I am telling you, I have done more. Like I guarantee you, it's at least 80 to 90% better by the time I leave the first one.
Yeah.
Every single time. Yeah. And that's what's so crazy. But they're not going to make the dog change. They're going to make the human change everything. That's what I said at the end of the
You're
first
just
thing.
Creating other
I had anxiety. I was like, oh my, what are you telling these people to do?
Yeah.
It was absolutely insane for me to even read this stuff. And because the list that they give you to do, what was the other part of that bout? Because they had some crazy crap on there. You'll
have to send that to me.
They want you to practice the place and work it up from like 3 minutes to 30 minutes at a time, where the dog is just relaxing. Play soft music. Get it a comfortable bed.
God.
When you do
you see how we pacify?
It's terrible.
It's awful.
And I even said that, and I was like, not once have I told the dog no for acting that way. Let it be around you and jump, just ignore it. But when it goes and settles, then go pet it. I was like, well, shit, the dog's just going to get up and get all over you again. And then the FFers, you never be mean to a dog, right? But the dog is dependent on you, but they're going to take you away from it. Don't touch the dog. Don't look at the dog until it settles. And then they run over and pet it, and then the dog just goes crazy again. I just, everything on it just made me want to smash my face against a wall.
I know. That's exactly it.
And then they're going to complain about all these dogs that are euthanized. Mm-hmm. 13,000 a year in Denver or in Dallas.
Class, I can't tell you how many that there might be. Well, the other day we had 57 dogs come in the shelter and none left. But when they do leave,
is that Dallas?
No, I won't even deal with Dallas.
Well, I'm just saying, that's the numbers I use, because I looked at it on average.
I work a lot with Weatherford and Fort Worth. And,
their intake is roughly somewhere between, I average in a day, 26 to 36 dogs a day. And they're somewhere between 9,500 and 13,000 dogs. But you're not rehoming all those.
The dogs that are going out, no, because they have that clear the shelter day. Ha, ha, ha. And it's not adoption. Yeah. I mean, and I know that as a fact because I know people who work there.
Right.
But what happens is, now I got off track. What I was going to say is, so you might have 20 dogs or 10 dogs or whatever go out. But if the humans that are getting these dogs are not trained to handle these dogs, you're going to get 5 or 10 back the next day.
Yes.
And so that's why it was such a thing that I contracted to these cities and these shelters that I need your volunteers. I need your fosters. I need your kennel help. I go to veterinarians and teach them, because what do they do?
I used to work with a bunch
your
and work with their
dog
kennel
won't
staff.
Stand on the scale. So what do? Go up there and wrap your body all over it, or
Crazy.
talk like a,
imbecile to it, right?
Yeah. It's like, no, you just tell your dog settle or to stand or give it a command to stop.
Just make it do it. It'll do it.
Yeah. And your dog will learn that.
So every home I have been in ever that I've trained a dog has had treats.
Yes.
Treats are, what did we say, Mr. Producer, $24 billion a year in North America?
And you know where it started?
PetSmart.
Do you know how I know that?
Don't tell me you started Leave It, Take It.
30 years ago, I started PetSmart.
No way.
Yeah, in Seattle. My best friend was the general manager. She had one of my Aussies. I contracted to them for a year.
I told y'all I'd
half.
have a legend on at some point. See?
But I don't tell most people this because I hate PetSmart.
Well, don't worry.
But
I don't have a very big audience.
Yeah. So I contracted to them to train that. We didn't have any stores at that point. Okay. This is 30 years ago. No stores. Phoenix, Arizona only had the corporate office. They wanted to open stores. So I came in to train the trainers for the stores. My way. No treats, no clickers, no pinch collars.
Right.
Those things didn't even exist.
Right.
Okay. So when I went in and taught them, well, then guess what? 6 months later, when I bop around to these stores to check on everybody, they're freaking doing treats. I went back to the corporate office to marketing and I'm like, what the heck? What's going on? Well, we sell treats.
Yeah.
So
Marketing.
Yeah, so I quit. I severed my contract. And because I said treats don't train. And so I went in, and now when I see people that say that they took PetSmart training, I'm like, so how'd that work for you? I said, do you understand why they can give you a class that teaches you absolutely nothing, but that they only charge $99 for it or whatever? Is because you're walking out with 8 bags of treats.
And you're going to keep coming back. And you will be back every week to restock it.
Yes.
So here's the deal.
And look at our dogs. They're all overweight. They're dying of diabetes. They're,
Spending $24 billion a year on treats. Mm-hmm. We should have empty shelters. Every dog should be perfect.
Exactly.
If it worked, it's not from lack of treats. So let me ask you this, because this is something I talk about all the time, does lack of a hot dog or chicken for a dog cause a behavioral issue?
No.
Oh, so giving it to it wouldn't fix one?
No.
Huh. That's amazing, because I thought it did if you listen to people.
No. And like I tell people, if you have that urge that you have to give your dog something, it should never come from your hand. I am not a hand, because what do dogs automatically do? They gravitate towards people's hands.
Yeah.
They approach.
Yeah.
They should never approach. They should be given the command, and you can
Allowed
approach
to.
them.
Instructed
Exactly.
to.
Exactly.
Yeah, imagine that.
And so working with, and this is another reason why I left a lot of the organizations that I did with service dogs, is socialization. I said, they do not socialize like humans. You should never teach a dog to go forward, to approach.
Oh my
I
gosh.
do litters. I go in and teach a lot of people that have puppies, and I train them. And I said, when you walk into a room full of puppies, they should never approach you. I walk in and my puppies scatter. Their tails are still wagging.
Yeah.
But they know they're never to come in my hula hoop. Okay? This is my space.
Yeah. Guess what I tell all my clients what rule number 1 is?
What's that?
2 foot of personal space.
Yes.
All times.
Absolutely.
When I'm ready,
say my arms.
When I'm ready for you,
all
guess
the
what?
way around
I will
me.
invite you in by saying, "Hey, Fluffy,
Yes.
come here.
Yes.
Sit down." Oh, Dash.
And
now,
I don't allow
game on.
the whole crowding, or people will say jealousy.
bumping, pushing.
There's no
Oh.
such thing as jealousy in dogs.
No.
They just want the same attention. But you have to teach
competition.
them. My dogs all sit out there, and I invite whatever dog I want in to be invited, not to invade.
Yes.
And they come in and they know the rules. If I come to the door, I'm coming home and my arms, I'll open the door and they all see and they know
Okay, it's mom.
immediately to back
Back up. Yep.
And I don't step over my dog.
No, they move.
It's like the party
of the Red Sea. 1,000%. They're like, "Excuse me, mom's coming through. Everybody step to the side."
And I have anywhere from 15 to 20
Yes.
dogs at my house all the time. And so, like, if I have dogs barking, I put my dogs out. Let's say the UPS guy or
Right.
Amazon shows up every day. I know that bark. The minute I step out on the porch, and I have to always, especially with my clients nowadays, I have to realize what age group they're in.
Right.
Because I'll say, it's like
Gotta
E.F.
be careful
Hutton.
with these younger
I
ones,
said,
don't
it's
we?
E.F. Hutton. And they look at me like, who in the hell is
Right,
E.F. Hutton?
right. Huh?
And I said, but when I walk out on the porch, all eyes are on me. Because people want to know, you have Malinois and Dutch Shepherds and German Shepherds, and you're the only person there. And they all run together, males, females, intact,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah. And I said, Because who's in charge?
It's
Me.
yes.
And it's not a mean.
No.
I'm not mean. I don't yell at.
How is it mean to have a bunch of dogs that get together and don't fight and try to kill each other and they don't have anxiety or stress?
It's my body language more than even comes out of my mouth.
So that's crazy. So, God dang, we're not going to talk about separation anxiety at all. So my clients, I work 1 and 2. One, body language, 2, tone.
Yep.
If you work those well, you don't need correction. No. You don't need physical. You want to be as least physical as possible. No bribery. But I've got to be good at learning to talk dog with my body language, with my tone of voice. And that's what they have to learn.
They do.
And if they don't, they're not successful with it. And it's the same thing. I do it all the time. I change body language, talking sweet. All of a sudden, little puppy gets up, starts walking to me. And they're like, oh my gosh, he won't do that for us.
Or your body goes over.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's an automatic thing. And that's why, my methods are the 3 T's: tone, timing, and technique. And tone is the 3 tones: your command, your praise, and your correction. Your timing is your 4 seconds. You've got your technique, which can be crate training, your leash training,
yep.
your body language, your,
yep.
Anything you're going to use, your environment,
right.
Whatever you're going to use. So once you have those down, and like I tell everyone, your first communication with your dog is tone. And I said, that's the first thing they're going to pay attention to you on, is because, remember, they use it backwards from how we do it.
Right.
And they recognize they do not remember. There's puzzle pieces that come down using all of their natural instincts. So when people say, well, I get it all the time. People will say, well, how do you praise? And I go, it's a verbal, yes, I have markers.
Yes.
And I said I use a high-pitched yes. I use good girl or good boy for secondary. And my third form of praise is actual touch, where I pat the dog. But I don't give this, because this is your highest form of praise. I don't give this all the time or immediately. They have to earn it.
Gosh, we do things so similarly, but so different at the same time.
Isn't that funny?
Because, so my 2 foot of personal space, right?
Yeah.
So how does the dog get in? I invite, come and sit.
Yes.
That's when my hands go on. That's the time I do all my physical praise and touch and belly rubs and tug and toy, because I want that touch to be the thing that motivates them to come. That's not free, but I'm getting that from the big dog.
Yeah.
Which helps my clients have better off-leash control. And that time the dog gets out, it's like, come. It's like, it short circuits the dog. It's like, pets. I got to get back there and get my pets.
My dogs can be out on my acreage in the middle of a poop. And if I call them, they're like right in front of me immediately. Yep. And I don't care where they're at.
Agreed.
I've got pictures of my Malinois where I'll be throwing a Frisbee, because she's a freak over a Frisbee. She'll be in the air almost to get it. And I'll call her off. She'll drop to the ground, turn around, come right back to me.
Crazy, right? People don't believe it till they see it, and they're like, how does that happen?
Or if I do
you
it
must
with
have got
their
a really,
dog.
You must have got a really good dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so.
Okay. What else do we need to talk about? Separation anxiety.
Well, what causes it?
It's us. It's habits.
What specifically do people do that set them up for that? What are they doing wrong?
We spill all over our dogs. We're always touching them. We're always coddling them. We don't give them direction. And so and they're always coming with us. So this is something that I taught
Velcro to
the
them.
guy. Yeah, there's no such thing as a Velcro dog. You've taught that dog to come 100%. With you. And if you're sitting on the toilet and that dog is facing you, what do? We reach out and touch. Highest form of praise. Yes. And so I tell people,
while they complain about it, they still praise it. I know.
Quit doing it. Tell your dog. I said dogs need to sleep 14 hours or so a day. Relax. Tell them to go. Put them in their crate. Tell them to place.
Crate is one of the best tools someone can use.
Stop them.
Okay.
And then don't make a big deal about you leaving.
Right?
I mean, you don't. You just leave. But when you have a situation, that's where I have to go in and see what they're doing. And you've got to back it up.
Agreed.
You've got to back it up all the way to the very beginning. And then they're like, and you stop them from doing these few things. And they're like, they'll call me the next day and go, holy woly, it worked.
Yeah.
And but then they go back to their old habits.
They do
after a few weeks.
because they assume the dog is trained. They don't have to do anything.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
dogs. It's the worst word in the world is a trained dog. They're managed.
Yes.
They're managed
Yes,
by
you
me.
never-
I am the.
you
You're
never
never
finish
done. I
training.
tell them.
Nope.
I tell my clients, you get that much better every day. Just at a 0.01%, you get that much better every day. You're going to keep going this way. You can't plateau.
That's why I tell them your dog when they do training with me. I tell them the training is for a lifetime of the dog.
That's what I tell them too.
Because
Mine's the same thing.
if something goes haywire, they'll say, "Oh, my dog's regressed," and
I hear my dog's backward trained.
yeah, in 6 months or whatever, and I'll say, "Okay, what's going on?" And I'll say, "Go back to the basics."
Every time.
Go back to when we first taught.
I always ask them, "How's rule number 1?" And they're like,
front
"What was that
brain,
one again?"
yeah.
Oh, I
And
forgot that
what
one.
I teach is front brain, hind brain. Watching that dog come into front brain and pay attention to you, or remember, 4 seconds, they're squirrel, something else is going
Shiny
on.
bug.
That's
Yep.
hind brain. And I said, you've got to automatically teach your dog to come into front brain, and then you see it, and guess what?
You've got to recognize
if
it.
they
Yep.
see a squirrel, you can go, ah, or hey, or no,
And
or
they'll break.
whatever it is, and they know to come back into front brain and pay attention to you. Eyes on you.
And tell me if I'm wrong or not, but that's why when you work a dog, you exhaust it so fast because that part of the brain is
You
not
got
used.
10 minutes.
I tell my clients
You
5
got-
minutes at a time, work them hard
Yep.
because you'll put them to sleep.
And I did this. I had a client that had an 8-year-old King Charles Cavalier, and they were both retired in their 80s, and he was from American Airlines. She was what do you call him, very high end in Dallas. Like you've got the Simmons and you've got all these families, okay? And so they called me, and their dog's 8 years old, and they said, we need to get her to quit jumping up and to quit barking. And I go, okay. So I went over there.
What am I going to do after the first 5 minutes?
I
right?
know. I went over there and,
Let me guess, you threw hot dogs on the floor?
No. Or put pennies in the can. But what I did is I started from the beginning because it's the humans.
Yeah.
The humans have to learn to be organized and do things. And so she went through everything. She said the dog fell asleep in the middle of the room. And the husband came home, and she never even got up.
Oh, yeah, just brain
go.
fried that dog, huh?
And he said, oh, my God, well, did you fix the barking? And I go, barking? I've never heard her bark. When does she bark? So I told them the dog could not get up on the furniture.
Yep.
All of that. And I said, now, if you want the dog up, you can invite
the dog
but
up.
do not allow the dog to
Your
get up.
terms, not their
so
terms.
she says, I said, well, when does the dog bark? And she said, well, in the morning. So listen to this whole thing.
Here we go.
In the morning, I go out to the living room and I open the blinds, and they live in a little community, a little cul-de-sac with all 80, 90-year-olds that walk their dog in the morning, right? And she gets up on the chair and barks at people walking their dogs. I said, easy fix. Watch this. I said, you get up in the morning, you're in the kitchen, and I said, you see your dog start to head that direction? It's a no. She turns around, looks at you, you tell her yes, and you go do something else. That opening the blinds, that's a habit, that's a pattern. Do not do it. You've allowed the dog to get up on the furniture,
Yep.
and now you've triggered her, move the chair, or just don't open the blinds, or you've got a huge house.
Right.
Go do something else. And the dog quit going in there. And I said, you just changed the pattern. That's all it was.
So you have to have
and now she doesn't bark anymore.
It's actually
I
so
said,
simple.
but it's magic.
They're trying to make all this science sound so, you don't understand because it's science. It is so simplistic. Change the pattern. If you know the end behavior, stop it before it gets the end. Have a different ending to the story. Repeat, then it becomes a new learn.
Or like dogs that throw up in the car.
Yep.
I tell them, well, you can.
I always go, it's
drag
probably
it
your
out.
driving.
You can drag it out as long as you want. But me transporting dogs all the time in shows and all that, I know that if you face them sideways instead of front to back,
Helps a lot.
It usually helps.
Yeah.
But you've got to back it up. You've got to start with open all the doors and let the dog get in and out.
Yeah,
And when you start seeing a reaction, like frothing of the mouth or whatever, then you back it up and you work on that a little bit longer.
Yep.
And it's
you can't. You got to set the foundation. Then second floor, then third floor. You can't just go.
And then if you're only taking a dog to the vet's office,
of course, then it's like, oh boy, here we
go.
go.
To the groomer where they get poked and prodded.
Yep. So let's look at something like some sort of practical application that you think would be important. Let's think of maybe 3 things that people could do tomorrow with their dog that would help them start to see a difference in their separation anxiety with their dog. What would be 3 simple things that, in a common layperson, right? Mm-hmm. So they don't have anybody in there, so they don't have you or I there instructing them and showing them. What do you think we can come up with 3? What do you think?
First thing that I teach people is to crate their dog.
Beautiful.
And that is, and to break it up. So if you're getting in the shower, crate them. When you get out of the shower, let them out.
I like that.
Every single time they come in from outside, they go directly to the crate. I don't care if they woke up in the morning, went out and peed. When the dog comes in, they go right back to the crate. And they're there for 5 or 10 minutes to learn to settle. Outside energy is not inside energy.
I like that.
Okay?
I could see
the
that.
The same
okay.
with if you get on the phone. Say, hang on, put your dog in, because they know phone voice. They're going to sneak off and go do things, kids.
I've had some very rich people call me just to stop their dog from barking at them while they're on the phone with important. I had a grown man, because he worked out of his house, ran like a $50 million company out of his house. But every time he got on the phone, the dog, he would run into his closet and surround himself with his clothes to muffle out the dog from barking. Yeah, crazy stuff, right?
I helped the governor's office during COVID. I would go out, because I used to board all their dogs. I'd go out and teach front brain, hind brain, and they would work their dog for 10 minutes before a Zoom call.
Yep.
And the dog's out for a couple hours.
That's great.
So it's teaching that. But the biggest thing is I would teach the crate training.
Okay, I like it.
And then I would basically understand what your habits are. When does your dog start, quote unquote, coming up with the separation anxiety?
You should start to see. Yes, I like that.
That's the patterns.
Exactly.
Watch. And then change them up.
Okay.
Like if your dog starts freaking out. And what it is, it's not really separation anxiety. It's your dog is controlling you.
It is.
Your dog is like, where are you going? Why are you going? Why are you doing this? And so if you have a dog in a crate that barks at you or barks at another dog that is out, that dog is wanting to control all of you. It's basically us learning how to be who we need to be, the leaders. We don't have anybody that's leading out there anymore.
I'm sorry, there's no packs anymore. Dogs aren't pack animals. You haven't read the science, have you? They're not pack animals. It's a social
they have
hierarchy.
To have a leader. It is hierarchy, but it's not
hierarchy.
Social.
Thank you.
It's hierarchy.
Yeah, I broke that whole thing down. It was stupid.
And I tell people that they learn.
There is no alpha.
They learn it in, and I hate the word alpha, but I usually use head of household.
Leader.
So
someone's in charge of everything in this world.
How I break it up is between 6 and 16 weeks. Dogs set hierarchy in their litters.
They do, 100%.
When do we get them? Right smack dab in the middle.
Yep.
They haven't finished anything.
Yep.
So they come into our homes.
And we
and they set hierarchy the only way they know how. They're going to
You mean they don't understand humans? Mom didn't teach them?
Yeah, I know. And they're going to jump on you. They're going to paw you.
They're going to treat you like a dog?
Bark you. Exactly.
Oh, it's interesting.
That's where most of us don't even have hierarchy set in our own households. And I don't care how it is human to human, but when I walk into
that's a Dr. Phil problem.
Yeah.
I'm the Dr. Phil of dogs.
When I walk into someone's household, I know within 3 or 4 minutes what the dynamics are in the household.
Well, if you got called there, I guarantee you already know what the dynamics are. They aren't running it.
So when I get there, I reset because you've got head of household, which dogs see the man. I get the calls.
Men are like dogs.
But I get the calls. My dog doesn't like men. I said, that's not true. They see men as authority, and they're already running you. They don't want another authoritative figure coming in.
The dog looks at man and goes, if someone's going to challenge me for my position, it will be him, not mom.
Yeah.
Mom gives me everything I want.
Exactly. So I tell them, head of household, the next position down is the disciplinarian, okay? The next one that's automatic is if there's a woman in the household, we are the nurturers. Dogs understand that we feed from the breast,
Yes,
that we take
we are.
care of,
That's what
blah,
women
blah,
do.
blah. I need that woman to be the disciplinarian. They can still be the nurturer,
Yes,
but they have to become the disciplinarian.
Yep.
Because even when the man is in the household, the woman has got to tell that dog exactly what to do.
Thank you, because I
They've
have to
got be
empower
that
the
leader.
female to feel that she
Yes.
can do it.
I've had women stand in front of a mirror, and I've got to teach them how to say no and mean it.
I say it all the time. I was like, who's this all about? Say it. She's like,
Yeah.
I am. No, say it like you mean it. It's all about you.
Yes.
It's all about
Yes.
you. And because they don't. And then I get the dads all the time. It's like he comes in and goes, I really don't know why we have to get a trainer. The dog's not that bad for me.
Everything. I know.
All the time. And it's like
hierarchy.
It is.
Dogs don't know anything else. That's what is in there. And then you've got children,
Yes.
which I teach the parents and to set that hierarchy by feeding in the crate, allowing that child supervised to put the bowl in the crate and to take it out and to do certain things, open the door, let the dog
See, I have
in
I have
and
the kids
out,
sit with mom and dad as we do the
get
come and
rid
sit.
of the doggy door.
Thank you.
And then you've got other animals. They have to be equal. Okay. Otherwise, if you've got, perfect example was I had 2 German Shepherds and they thought the male was the one that was always starting the fight. I said, no, you have a female. She's running the show. She's running your household. Do you want your house back? And they're like, yeah, but how? And I said, well, when you take, they didn't crate. Once they crated, and when we took the male out, the female was coming unglued, right?
Yep.
She wanted to be in charge.
I can't
said,
control him if I'm in here.
There's your first thing right there. Now, watch the male. He's going to go out back because she was always at him all the time. Okay?
Female dogs come by their name, honestly.
Yep. And so then we went outside and he would run the back fence, which was split on the other side on 3 other homes. So there were 3 other dogs back there. And he would run and then she would come out and oblivious.
Yep.
He's just having fun, right?
Right.
He would run into her and they would start a dog fight because she was trying to control him. She was trying to hurt him.
Oh my gosh.
And
yes.
and I'm like, you fix her
Everything's done.
and everything's done. And we did. And he was the best dog.
Right.
And now they're perfect.
It's always so weird how that works and they don't see it. When I used to run, I'd run and I'd come across a cyclone fence and I could always jab at the fence and the dogs would turn on each other. I'm going to tell him I'm the boss. No, I'm going to tell him I'm the boss. No, I'm going to tell him I'm the boss. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, shit, he's down there. We got to go get him. Always.
And that's where I have my clients go back and forth, wherever they always want to go the other direction.
Right.
And I go, no. They said, oh, there's dogs down on the corner.
We go
Good,
at
we're
them.
Going.
Oh, man.
We're
That's
going.
right. Go
so
at your
it's
problem.
Fun.
How do you fix your problem if you don't go at the problem?
Just, desensitize back and forth. And then those dogs go inside because they
get bored.
This isn't fun
and they're
anymore.
not getting the reaction. Oh, my gosh.
And they do. They go away.
So we need to identify our habits that start to trigger our dog, kind of change those up and switch those up. Kenneling is good. I love kennel.
Oh, yeah.
Kennel. Teach the dog it's okay to
denning.
do nothing.
It's natural.
Right.
It does not harm a dog.
At all.
It's
their
mean.
bedroom. It's a den animal. It's a
Exactly.
cave animal. That's where they would live.
Exactly.
And then
Don't crate them in your bedroom.
And I think a big thing too is don't tell the dog it's okay. I'll see you later. Mommy's coming home. Right?
Don't have conversation when you leave.
We're gone. We're out.
just leave.
Goodbye. And obviously, you can work that up to different amount of times as you start to do that and stuff. I totally get it, but I really think it's all about leadership. It's all about control and letting the dog feel safe. And that's what I tell you. You can take the anxiety away from the dog and harbor that ourselves if we take control of the dog.
Right.
Because then the dog doesn't have anything to worry about.
And we don't have to be mean.
No,
we
it's
talk
not about being mean.
Leaders, when we talk about all
well,
of that.
it's the nice way of putting it these days, right?
Yeah.
We lead.
Yes.
We lead from the front.
But
and I'm
don't
old school.
have
I'm an
enough
alpha. I'm an
leaders.
alpha guy, and I'm going to always roll that way. But it's know your audience and being sure that I'm communicating with some of these women. No, we're not necessarily alpha, but we need to be the boss. We need to be in control.
Yes.
You're the manager of this house, Mom. You manage everything that's going on, from the kids leaving to dad getting where he knows to do.
Will.
And exactly.
Or your dog will. And that's not pretty.
Never is. That's why they call us.
So many dogs in
and
the
that's
shelters.
why they go to the shelter.
But that's where other trainers that don't know dog behavior, they've never studied dog behavior. My people that come to me,
they follow
for
the science,
training,
is what they say.
I make sure that they get the AKC handbook, all the breeds, and I tell them, study those breeds, because you're going to get a phone call and you're going to have to know what breed of dog it is. What was that breed bred to do?
Yeah,
okay?
Makes a big difference.
And then you have to know age and you have to know sex. That's all hindbrain. That's how a dog works. That's their makeup, okay? You're not going to change it. You do not train hindbrain. We do not train instinct. No, but most trainers are out there trying to train it. That's why they're still trying to train sits after 2 weeks, okay? It should happen immediately. You show them. You give them a command, if they don't know it, then you show them and you praise them for it, and they're like, oh, okay, that's all you needed? Okay, but once you teach once you understand hindbrain and how that all works, and then when you get your dog into front brain, which is the first thing I teach people, then you've got 4 seconds. You better jam pack that.
Let's go.
It's a sponge. And then if they go back, because you're going to see them, go back into hindbrain again right away after
Refocus.
4 seconds.
Let's go.
You got to get them back out again. And I guess my explanation for how to tell them front brain, hindbrain is an agility course. A dog does not know what that pattern is. You've only walked it 10 minutes prior to, because they change it, okay? Mm-hmm. When you release that dog and you now become the handler, you are giving communication to your dog, tunnel, right, left, weave pole, whatever, teeter. That dog is now in front brain the minute you set them off. The second they get to the finish line and you give them the ball or they jump in your yard, they go back to hindbrain and they're back being a dog.
Yep.
And that's it. That's exactly. And they go, oh, that's how it is? I said, yes.
Yeah, I just blew up your right brain, didn't I?
Once you understand, and I get a lot of people that will say, oh, I was in front brain today or whatever. And I go, yeah, well, humans don't have that, but you're
starting to get it, though. You're starting to get it.
Yes.
Man, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Man,
I know. It was
we could
fun.
Joe Rogan this and go for like 4 hours, I think. We bring pizza in. You do whiskey and cigars? I do.
No, whiskey maybe, not cigars.
Oh my gosh, I thoroughly
hilarious.
enjoyed it.
Yes.
It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for coming on. I will definitely give you the heads up.
Sure.
When it comes on. Usually we'll put a little chyron up with your information and stuff. I'm definitely not the guy that's like, oh, she's a trainer, she's my competition.
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I really
do. I
hope,
love podcasts.
I maybe someday we can do it again and talk about some other stuff that we have going on and stuff like that. So we could just sit back here and just spitball stuff and talk dog. I just love talking dog.
That's great. I do too.
Awesome.
And that's actually, I haven't had it up for ever and a day. And I have a chicken podcast too, because I do chickens. I do very high-end chickens, like $6,000 a chicken type. And so we have a podcast. Usually on Sunday nights we do it. And the guy that does that podcast mine is Let's Talk Dog. Okay? And so I've had it for ever and a day, but I've been too busy.
It's been too busy, right?
Do it. Yeah.
It happens.
And to get, people on and to do all that. Now, I do work with Hurdy Burke from Mansfield Buzz.
Yeah.
And so
Very
I've
cool.
done, some things with him, but he's a personal friend. And
well, that's cool.
We basically the same type of thing talk about.
Well, we'll get together and do this again.
I would love to.
It was awesome.
Outside stuff or whatever.
We definitely need to stay in touch.
If you want to go to the airport with me and
Man, it's been a long time since I've been hit by one. Long time.
Well, we go out and
I'd remember
we do
real quick, though.
Dogs.
Okay.
And so they put explosives on us. And we walk through the airport.
Can I bring my own?
Have to.
It's a joke.
Oh, yeah. Well, people go, what? And I go, it doesn't have a detonator on it. It doesn't have any. No, it's just, they're all packaged.
Right. So. All right. Well, let's close this up. I know we're over our time. The producer's over there giving me the side eye. It's all good. Hey, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. This is, honestly, you are not probably going to sit down and talk to two like-minded trainers that you're sitting here looking at legit like almost 85 years of experience.
Yeah.
And we don't do this.
Crazy.
We're not talking about like training dogs like over the internet and sending videos out and considering that a dog training. These are actually dogs that her and I have touched, we work with, we see, we're in the environment. So we're able to look with our eyes and see with ourselves and know exactly what's going on. So that's why when you sit down and you hear how convincing she is, when she talks from a position of authority. When I talk, I know it sounds cocky, but it sounds so much more pleasant coming from you. But you say it in a way that it's almost hard for anybody to say it's not true, because you're convicted by it, because
fact.
it is what you do.
Yeah.
You are immersed in it. You see it every day. So I want you guys to know that it's about the truth, and it's about understanding, because at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to really, it's not about the money. It's about that 13,000 dogs that are in the pound every year in Dallas. It's about the almost 1 million dogs a year that are euthanized in America that don't have to be. And as I do this and I meet more trainers, one of my things is I want to collaborate with them there's got to be something that we can do that's going to be cost effective for people, the normal person out there, but still be effective. If I could save 50,000 dogs a year, it would make my day. I don't have to make $50,000 off it. It's not about the money. I make plenty of money doing what I do, but I just hope that this goes somewhere. You guys share this and send this stuff out, and let's see if we can't make a difference. And then the more trainers we meet, hopefully we'll have time to get out there and do something for the rest of the world and actually make an impact and a difference. Guys, Michael Hoskinson, this is Miss Linda, the legend, 50 years of dog training. I'm so excited that she was here.
Me.
Thank you so much. You don't look a
welcome.
day over 30.
You're
So,
welcome.
guys,
Thank you.
Canine Control, this has been Canine Convos. Get out there, work your dog, take control, be the one in charge. And when you're out there doing that, have some damn fun, would you? Guys, happy training, and we'll see you next time.